This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast and the Becker Business Minute Podcast. We're thrilled to have you with us as we get started again for 2025. Here are seven of the stories that we're following this morning. First, the big story is job openings are back up, meaning employers are having a hard time filling jobs. We're back to 8.1 million open jobs. The estimators thought it'd be down at about 7.74 million. That's bad news for Fed watchers and market watchers because it means the Fed's got to go a little bit slower on cutting rates and sets them up for more conflict with President Trump and with the stock market and fascinating to watch. A few more stories that we're watching. Second, NVIDIA was yesterday's darling. It's today's dog, and that's a vast overstatement. It's down 6%. It's one of the stocks we think about putting some money into directly. So we watch it and find it fascinating to watch what's going on with NVIDIA. That's today down 5-6% after knocking it out of the box yesterday. Third, Tesla also taking to the chin today, down about 4%. And this is after a massive run up in Tesla over the last 6 months. Fourth, Meta Platforms is going to get rid of that fact checking that they did on Facebook. I found that to be so annoying and so politically energized, and so felt like the censorship police, felt like the Soviet Union, Pravda, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm glad to see them get rid of it. I know that's not everybody's most popular opinion on it. The fifth thing we're watching today, MicroStrategy again, taken to the chin today, down about 8% so far. And we'll see how that plays out the rest of the day. Again, MicroStrategy was the home run hitter last year, heavily leveraged investor in Bitcoin and just knocked it out of the park. We'll see how that continues to go. But today, down about 8% when we last looked at it. Finally, a couple of things we'll talk about. Palantir Sixth is down 5-6% today. Of course, it's got to go down. It's down about 5% right now because I recently invested in it individually, which means it has to be down. It's just the way of the world. Finally, two other notes that I'll talk about is when you become great in one thing, you often could find analogies in other things. And I think that one of the fascinating things about cross-pollination, cross-working, not just working in one thing, it's not that you're going to be an expert in the second, third, and fourth thing, but it is that you will be able to understand some of those things that apply in the second, third, and fourth things, even though you may not be as deep in those other things. I think that's one of the things that I love about people developing expertise. Give you the stupid example is I've always struggled with my tennis serve. I'm a relatively solid tennis player, taught some tennis, et cetera, et cetera. Not great, but solid, better than my buddies who suck. But one of the things I find is if I work hard on my inside out golf swing, the tennis serve is a similar concept where I got to get the racket back and come inside out to get the serve how I want it to be. And it's just sort of understanding these things. There's so many things run in tandem or run in similarities. I mean, it's similarly in expertise. If you build an expertise in what I originally built an expertise in with healthcare law, then media, you learn the kind of discipline and diligence that it takes to be good in one thing. Often you need to have it in the same thing. It doesn't make you deep and great in the next thing, but at least let you know what you have to do to become great. The last PS I'll take it this morning is from a colleague who saw another colleague at the coffee shop, and that colleague at the coffee shop, and granted a relatively full coffee shop, that person was taking up 3 chairs as one person, one to sit in, one for the computer, one for the backpack. And I think the lesson should be that that's one of those signs of just great entitlement. The people that skip lines, the people that do those kinds of things, take up 3 seats when they really need one. It's a sign of obnoxiousness, entitlement that we should all sort of scoff at and look at negatively. And I don't mean to be such a downer today or such a negative Nelly, but that kind of behavior is just abhorrent. It's small behavior in the big scheme of things. It's not civil war, but it's just bad behavior, and love the text from the buddy calling the other person out on it. Thank you for listening to the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. always feel free to text with ideas, 773-766-5322. If you're the first person to text with an idea today or a comment on this podcast, we'll send you a $100 Amazon gift certificate. Thank you for listening to the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast.
If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.